The trend, everybody,
Exactly.
all my patients are coming and said, I want zero downtime, I want to go back to my normal life, I don't want any bruise, I don't want any sign on my face or my breast.
You are the bridge between the consumer and the partner of choice.
Well, what is the major challenges you see in this growing trend?
So the product alone doesn't work. Putting a reel on social media or a video is not enough. So you need to think, or everybody has to think, okay, what's the value I'm bringing?
Dr. Matteo Vigo is a leading plastic surgeon in Dubai with over 20 years of experience in breast augmentation and cosmetic surgeries.
He is also one of the first UAE licensed surgeons to perform MIA Femtech, a minimally invasive breast enhancement procedure that delivers natural results with minimal scarring in less than 15 minutes.
Dr. Matteo Vigo, where precision, expertise, and care come together to create life-changing transformations with natural, lasting results.
Hello everyone and welcome to my new episode of the podcast Beauty Talks with Dr. Matteo Vigo. Today I'm very happy to have a guest with me, which is a friend, is a partner in crime and a partner in business, Andre Daoud, the CEO of Medica.
Good morning.
Good morning and welcome here.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for accepting my invitation. It's
Pleasure
a
is
real
mine,
pleasure.
and I'm honored to be with you also.
So Andre, he has been in the medical field for many years, covering different roles, and lately he has been involved in the distribution of products for the aesthetic industry mainly, but not only. And tell me a little bit about your journey, how you end up in this role, and what are the challenges that you face when you approaching the aesthetic medicine world.
The journey is too long. We need more than one podcast, obviously. But yeah, I've been in the healthcare ecosystem for the past almost 20 years now, when I started the healthcare journey. So initially, I started in the healthcare insurance. So I've had different stops and different roles. Most of my time spent in this journey was local, regional, and global. So I had the blessing to have exposure in the markets here and on global markets. And having spent almost 13 years in multinationals, I had the chance to see different aspects of the healthcare ecosystem in the world and interact with governments, regulatory bodies, private sector, insurance companies, and so on. And then I moved into the hospital management, and I was the group CEO of a large conglomerate here in Dubai. So also that
During
was
COVID, let's remember this, during
yes,
COVID.
And COVID hit at that time. I think it was a PhD in healthcare management that I earned. But it was a blessing. I had the chance to serve and give back to the society in those difficult times. And 3 years ago, I had the chance to lead Medica, which is the leading distribution company in the aesthetic field. The company is focused on aesthetics since its inception. But I don't like to use the word distribution because it's so much of product moving and box moving. And my commitment was, how can we disrupt this industry and become better partners with the medical body, with the consumers, and the business partners. And,
this is a very unique vision that you have. And, since I met you, I really... At first, I told you, when you invited to the first event to introduce your new team, I didn't understand what it was about. What are these people talking about? Then coming to, knowing you and your team and how you deal with your team, etc. The project is much more clear in my mind, and I really understand and suppose your vision, absolutely.
To your credit, you were not the only one who felt like this, honestly.
Okay, that's true. I felt stupid sometimes.
No, it's not the case. I think it was because it was something new that we're presenting,
Exactly.
And people could not see the end journey.
And I think it's still kind of new.
Still.
Some, people do not understand yet the journey, and it will be a challenge, but also an interesting challenge to deliver this message to other people.
Agreed.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Agreed.
So what is in the aesthetic field? What are the news that you see now coming in the picture from products, from trends, from social media marketing? What is your feeling about the direction?
I think there's a challenge, but I see it as an opportunity. The challenge is there's so much commonality now that everybody's competing on the same segment and the same product and the same line. But I see it as an opportunity because if you're a bit different, then you can make an impact. I see a lot of similarity in the approach. If we speak social media, almost everyone has the same narrative. And from a product perspective, again, there hasn't been something massively changing or disrupting the industry except a few things. But if we take the fillers, for example, which are historically the most common known kind of aesthetic procedures, you have more than 500 brands in the world now.
Yeah.
And the way I describe it, with all due respect to the brands, and maybe there are some differentiation between one another, but it's become like water. So different brand name, but the molecule somehow remains the same. Today, if you continue to compete in terms of the price, for example, that's not sustainable. Hence, I see the industry needs some shake and to really look at different ways and maybe create better protocols, combination of protocols. In some of my trips abroad, I've been seeing how they're creating combinations between toxins, skin boosters, and fillers. Even the technique of injecting, for example, is changing. So from a product perspective, there's nothing much. From the technique, probably. If we take breast aug or breast beautification, breast aug has been the same, except when now MIA has entered the space, for example. The implant is new, yeah, but you can apply it in normal breast aug. But the technique of inserting the implant, totally creating different. A less invasive procedure, which focuses more on the consumer, their well-being. So this is where the industry, I think, needs to focus more. And obviously, energy-based devices, in my opinion, also there's a lot of similarity. But if there will be more breakthroughs, it will be more on the energy-based devices that will replace invasive procedure with less invasive procedures.
That's the trend. Everybody,
exactly.
All my patients are coming and said, I want zero downtime. I want to go back to my normal life. I don't want any bruise. I don't want any sign on my face or my breast, etc. So
correct.
It's difficult sometimes to,
Of course, it is.
To fulfill these expectations, but at the same time, I think the technology is giving us a lot of chances. So is us doctor and the supplier, the distributor, to help us to understand, to be knowledgeable about what is in the market.
Correct.
Because most of the products are out there. I don't even know because I do a surgeon or I inform myself. So if I have a support from a company, come to me and say, okay, this is a new product. This is what you can do, etc. You want to try? Let's see. It's much more easy for me. And so if we work together in this sense, and I give you my feedback on the product, say, use in this way. So I am the hand, you are the giver of the product, so we can really combine.
And one important element, Matteo, is that you are the bridge between the consumer and the partner of choice, right? So historically, distributors, they don't hear the consumer most of the time. However, you hear the consumer all of the time. If we make decisions separately, I think we're creating a gap. However, if we bridge that gap between what you're hearing from the consumer and you say, look, the trend is going this way, those are the consumer needs. So the voice of the customer is extremely important.
Absolutely.
And I think now what we're doing is we're spinning a little bit the roles, right? So we're saying historically, here's a new product. And we're not hearing historically what the consumer wants. We're bringing in the products. Now we're saying, okay, what are you hearing, Matteo? What does the consumer want? What's the trend? Okay, this is what I have. What do you think is best? Okay, then we create that bridge, and then the products or the solutions seamlessly flow to the end consumer and create satisfaction across the entire value chain.
That's very important. That's what we did now recently in Paris, where we had these sessions where we were evaluating products. But it's not only, you as a company evaluate the product, and with your great knowledge, but it's not a medical knowledge,
Agreed.
you can understand that this product is really what we need. And having doctors, dermatologists, plastic surgeons from your territory of distribution that comes in and really give you the advice, it's absolutely very, very important in my opinion, because I felt also involved in other people thinking. So hearing my colleagues say that, no, this product, no, because this or that, or yes, this, I haven't seen in this
from
angle.
that perspective or this angle, exactly.
And this really brings me a lot of extra thinking to me, which I've already enough. Thank you for that. But it's good because again, it's challenges.
It's stimulating.
Stimulating, absolutely. Otherwise, you'd be stuck in your own knowledge of the product and use the same thing without shifting from. So, what are the trends in the aesthetic industry? So, what is the forecast for the next years? Is it growing? How much is it growing? You presented some numbers to us. So, in general, what is your feeling about that?
Definitely the industry is growing. We're talking double-digit growth year on year. Not only because there are new products or whatever, there's more awareness and there is more utilization now happening. You have the male segment coming into the industry, which historically was not there. So it's not only the new technology that is driving, it's consumer behavior today that is driving the growth of the industry.
Yeah.
And the more less invasive solution you bring that deliver good outcome, the more traction you will have. Because historically, when you speak to consumers, I don't want general anesthesia, you're going to chop me left to right and I will have scars. Those have been entry barriers to the aesthetic world, right? Now with more solutions that are less invasive, you're also attracting a bigger segment. Something that is more natural will attract a bigger segment. And obviously, as I said, the male population is coming into the pool. So I see a very good trend going forward. And when you look at 2030, the industry is prone to explode in reality.
Well, what is the major challenges you see in this growing trend? Because everything that grows have, of course, a huge impact in the economy, but there are some challenges, some issues that we can face. What do you feel could be any issue?
Look, I think planning is important, okay? Don't over-plan, but don't go run into the industry without plan at all.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of people who are venturing into the industry without a sound enough plan. And because now there's a lot of awareness with the consumers, you have to be, as an investor, for example, or a clinic, you have to be wary of what are you offering, what's your added value, what's your unique selling point, how will you attract consumers, what's your strategy. And I think one of the challenging part is many people are entering the space without clarity or visibility. And what I see now, there are a lot of, I would say, clinics or providers who are struggling in terms of attracting footfall, right? So the product alone doesn't work. Putting a reel on social media or a video is not enough. So you need to think, or everybody has to think, okay, what's the value I'm bringing scientifically, consumer experience, pre, during, post procedure. And then there's a lot of data that is being generated. Not everybody is capitalizing on this to manage their business. So I think this is the challenge, and that it becomes overcrowded. Not many people have a clear direction because, as I said, products are there, everybody can get them. And definitely never follow a price strategy because it's not sustainable. Dropping your price or competing on price is not a good strategy, in my humble opinion, based on the experience I have.
No, definitely. And what you said is very important. And in another podcast, I talk about the importance to have a team that support your marketing efforts. So the moment you are out, you create your strategy of marketing, you have leads coming in, and then nobody is converting them.
Correct.
It's very important. I always tell my team, put yourself in the shoes of the patient. What the patient wants. How do you want to be treated?
Correct.
Treat the patient the same way that you want to be treated. That's absolutely very important.
To your point, I was having a conversation with one of your fellow colleagues, and if we look at the space of physicians today, so many physicians are talented, right? And have good, but what differs one of them? And I think it's the empathy. The more because two doctors could deliver the the same result,
Outcome,
the
yeah.
same great outcome, let's say, right? But how will the patient choose? I think it's the attitude that will differ. How you're presenting yourself, where is the empathy, what's your narrative with your patients? And I think this is where I'm seeing, based on experience, how, if you want, the scale is tipping in favor of today physicians or doctors who are closer to their audience, who respond themselves. I've seen some of the doctors, some of the consumers saying, oh, I'm surprised the doctor himself responded to me. And I think that's important, to have empathy in your approach, because the clinical outcome can be delivered by many, but that interpersonal skill does not exist with everyone.
Yeah,
and this is where you excel, actually, honestly.
Yes, I don't answer to my patients because I will not have a life if I need to start answering all the questions. So I train the person can answer on my behalf like it was me. And my assistant now really answers in the way that I would have done. If she's not sure, she will check on me. So, of course, we have this kind of delivering message for the patients, which is consistent.
And you're available.
Exactly. I'm available. You know, I had the other night a patient who was a little bit concerned for a little pain after surgery. I took the phone, I called her and said, I'm
exactly.
here.
That's the point I'm making.
Exactly. So you need to be there for your patients. You need to show them that they're not alone, and they need to feel that you pamper them. We are doing elective procedures. We are not saving life. So if you're saving life, you can be in a rush because you have the urgency to do something. There, everything should be planned and everything should be delivered to the patient the way they want. Okay, because at the end of the day, if I'm paying a premium price for a service, whatever it is, going to a restaurant or having a surgery, I want the premium service, and that's very important.
Correct.
And how do you help doctors to understand this point of view? Because you, of course, being a distributor, you have a contact with a lot of doctors.
True.
How you deliver this message to the doctor? How you are helping them? Because again, you said I can always improve, but I'm already there in a certain way. I know what the patient needs and wants, but a lot of my colleagues don't. How do you help them?
So I'll take a bit of time on this point because it's multidimensional. One, from a corporate perspective, we built a great culture in the team, with the team. And the key foundation for any relationship is trust. 3 years ago, my narrative, as you said, was not understood. What I've been working over the past 3 years is to build trust. Build trust through actions, through the narratives, through the deliverables, and by creating value, and by honoring what we're promising, right? So over the past 3 years, we've established a sort of a good rapport, good platform with a lot of physicians who themselves decided to ask or listen, right? Because there's trust now. So how are we helping? We're creating this collaboration platform whereby we're even trying to work to bring competing physicians together and say, guys, one hand cannot clap. What if you were competing but complementing each other for the greater good of the industry, of the consumer, by making collective decisions that favor the industry, that favor the consumer in terms of safety, effectiveness, and I would say a commercial approach which could be consumer friendly, right? So what we're doing now is, through these conversations, these focus groups, scientific forums, we are trying to strengthen that platform whereby we establish ourselves as a strong business partner. Not only that, I think one of the major flows of the School of Medicine, it graduate great doctors, right? But then what are you asking those doctors to do? Is to enter the business world. And what is happening here is you have a business that is not clinically sound because they're not doctors, and you have doctors who are not business savvy, and there's a disconnect. So now what we are launching is the Business Academy for Physicians. And we're saying, okay, I will never be a great doctor like you, not even a doctor, right? I have to go to med school. I don't think I can do that. I was not built for that. But again, we need to acknowledge, if you haven't done business, you cannot be as great as a businessman. So I've learned some of the clinical aspect. I sit with great minds like yours, like many of your colleagues, and I learn. And I think this is where that exchange of knowledge is very beneficial, because if I spoke to you business and you're not business savvy, you would not understand what I mean, that you need to save here, you need to optimize your cost, you need to improve your customer centricity, and so on. So now with this business academy, we're creating a platform for doctors to better understand our language of business and not necessarily run businesses, but at least when we speak, we have synergy and understanding between the clinical and the business. And this is how we're helping. And the only thing no one can take away from you, Matteo, is learning, right? So there's no harm in learning. And
Definitely.
we've decided to invest in this platform, learning platform, with professionals coming in, where you spend half a day or a day on specific courses. You book your slot, you come in, you learn, and then you take another course, as much as you want. And this is not tied up, at least from our perspective, against purchases or whatever, right? It's just how do we
That's
improve
the other part that I like a lot.
Yeah, how do we improve the overall industry? How do I improve my communication with you? If I have a better communication with you, I already win. And I think the dollar is a byproduct of the industry. If you focus on the dollar, you might win, you might lose. If you focus on the industry and the consumer and the value, the dollar is going to come.
But that's very important to understand that the dollars will come because if you create a team of people that learn how to do business and increase their need to buy product, you will sell more products. It's done. So
exactly.
It's the reverse way. It's like Apple. I always make the example of Apple. They don't create a tool for the people. They listen to the needs of the people and then they deliver something that they
Correct.
need. And that's the thing. And is one of the multi-billionaire companies that's selling thousands of products every year because they understand the market needs, and that's very
Correct.
important.
And we shifted also. Historically, there's the pyramid. In every company, the CEO sits on top, and then we flipped that, and our culture is the servant culture. So who sits on the top? It's the customer. He's the CEO, or they are the CEO of the company. And the role of the CEO of the company is to broom obstacles from the way of the organization and to provide support.
Yeah. And also keep
the
pyramid in balance because
the customer dictates what they want. The moment you hear the customer, the moment you deliver to the customer, you're successful.
Yeah, definitely, absolutely. And also connected to what you said before, the fact that you are able to bring together people, doctors in this sense, that are really think alike. They think alike. So I met a lot of colleagues that became friends now that I might have seen before as, again, enemies or competitors, etc. Now, we're still competing in a certain way from each other, but in a very healthy way. And we are,
cross-sharing
information, how we can improve this, especially with the MIA project is one of the biggest example. I'm talking with the other colleagues every other day. Said, I have this case, what do you think? Is it good? Is not? Can we do something different? Have this little complication? And everything is in a trust way. I trust them that they're not bringing me on the wrong way, or they're just taking over my...
And I think it's the culture that we've created amongst this group of physicians who are slowly and surely learning how to open up more, to speak more. But what does that give you at the end? Better outcome.
Yes.
Right? So who has experienced this is giving the experience. At the end, who's benefiting? You, but definitely the consumer.
The consumer, yeah.
And this is exactly the point I'm trying to make. How do we benefit the consumer? The moment the consumer is happy, everybody's doing well.
Exactly. Andre, it's been a real pleasure.
Unfortunately,
we have a tight time for this, but maybe we have other occasion to speak
With
again.
With pleasure, always a pleasure. And I admire the work that you do.
Thank you so much. It's partly because of you.
Not at all. Your integrity as well speaks. And that's why we're here today. We share the same values. Thank you very much. And keep up the good work.
Thank you so much.
Matteo.
If you enjoyed the episode, please click like and subscribe to the channel so you can see more episodes, more guests coming into my podcast, Beauty Talks by Dr. Matteo Vigo. See you soon.
Because you deserve the best.